Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 12 of the Big at the Back podcast. We're back for a very short, sharp Game Week 9 preview, and it's wildcard time for our joint team. Matt, how are you?
I'm good, but we literally just discussed it's episode 13, and then you went and said episode 12. So we're off to a good start. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come.
What's that right? I wrote down S3E12. What's happening?
I don't know, but I mean, it is probably a sign of things to come, because about half an hour ago you messaged me and went, "Shit, we're meant to be recording tonight," and we've both forgotten about it. So that's step one. Step two, you've just written down the episode number wrong and then split it out. England are probably going to lose somehow, but yeah, I'm not too bad. It's weird, like in the week since we last recorded, we've gone from summer to winter, with no autumn in between. We've gone from needing the aircon on to needing the heating on, and I don't know. I'm like, at least I guess now it's cold, it actually feels like football season. It's felt like it's been too hot to play football.
I don't understand anything that's going on, is essentially what it comes down to. Now, I don't on a normal day, but this past few weeks have been particularly hectic. So I think we're all a little bit confused. FPL is back next weekend, though, so let's get back to normality. I think to make this productive, we can go through the teams that have very good fixtures or a very good fixture run, the teams that you want to be avoiding, and then we can start drafting our joint wildcard. Should be a short episode, about half an hour or so. But Game Week 9, let's dive right into it. So starting with the teams that I think have the good fixtures. I think the ones you've really got to be looking at are Spurs, Liverpool, Aston Villa, and after this City game, Brighton, right? And maybe West Ham, I guess.
West Ham got an all right run of fixtures, but you're never going to see me backing West Ham to the hilt, because it's just a disaster waiting to happen, isn't it, for me? So yeah, I think overall that's pretty much where it's at, and that's where pretty much every wildcard team that I've seen has been targeting their resources.
Yeah, in particular, the Aston Villa and Brighton runs from Game Week 10 is just mouth-wateringly good. And Liverpool's run from right now is great. So they're who you want to be targeting. The teams with bad runs actually are like some of the teams you'd normally be investing in. So Chelsea, Manchester City, Everton and Fulham, massive FPL teams.
Yeah, I was going to say, why did you mention Chelsea in there? But yeah, no, there's not many teams who've got like terrible runs coming up, apart from probably Chelsea have got the worst. But overall, like most other teams have got like 2 or 3 tough fixtures coming up in the next 6 or 7 game weeks. But like you say, that Villa run, the Spurs run coming up is very good as well. And probably like West Ham have got one of the better runs, like you say. But I can't bring myself. I'll back Bowen all day, but other than that, there's no one else. I mean, I have got Super Bowen in my team, so. I'm kind of talking myself around now, aren't I? Yeah, triple up on West Ham.
I was going to say, you're only...
I've got Areola and Super. I'm a Bowen away from tripling up.
You're a heartbeat away from triple captaining James Ward-Prowse.
Oh, I can't
wait. It will happen. This season, you are going to triple captain James Ward-Prowse. I can guarantee it. It's going to happen. And he's going to get 5 points. It's going to be wondrous.
It just sounds fun.
It does sound fun. I'm not opposed to it at all. Why don't we, in the interest of time, because we spoke about all the teams last week, let's just dive into it, because our joint team is on a wild card for the second week in a row. It's wildcard time.
I feel like there should be some sort of jazzy intro music here, but fuck that, because I haven't got that much time on my hands.
You can edit it. You can edit it in. But our joint team, despite going well,
I had any ability,
is on a wild card. So I think to start with,
I've taken the liberty of removing players that I assume are going out. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, David Mbama, and Marvelous Nakamba have gone straight out. But obviously, we're going to be moving a lot of this around. So let's fucking have some fun.
Are we going to be moving a lot of this around? I'm not. Right. So I think let's start with the logical thing. Turner and Areola are the keepers we want. They rotate nicely. Yeah, they're. I'm more than happy with them. So, is there any objections to keeping the goalkeepers the same?
Absolutely not.
Okay, brilliant. So, in that case, defensively, I think we need to take Saliba out to start with, and we need to take Walker out, and we need to take Udogie out. We are keeping.
We're keeping Van der Ven, are we?
Keeping Van der Ven after his 15-pointer. It would be rude to take him out now. But we don't want to be doubled up in Spurs defense, right? What do you think about Trent?
I mean, I have nothing against it. I think we keep him there for now, and we see where we are with funds when we've got a little bit further on. Because that 7.9 is quite a lot when you consider, like, okay, we could go Trippier for $1 million less.
Yeah, and we could really. I quite like the idea of going really, really cheap at the back, and then just putting all the funds into midfield.
Do you not remember the name of our podcast?
Times change. Times change. I think we've also got to get rid of Mbemo. Like, he's gone.
Yeah.
Saka is a difficult. I actually think we need to be keeping Saka. Just because the next two fixtures are Chelsea, then Sheffield United. And for that Sheffield United at home game, Man City have got Man U away. Saka's a captaincy option. I think we need to be keeping Saka for that game.
I mean, Salah's got Forest at home that week, but but yeah, I agree. I think he's worth keeping hold of. The only tougher fixture they've got coming up is Newcastle. Newcastle who are sort of still adjusting to Champions League football. We saw them ship 2 against West Ham just before the international break, so there's no reason to think that you can't get points there as well.
So we've just talked up West Ham. Do we want to keep Bowen?
I mean, I'm game for keeping Bowen.
I'm not convinced it's the right decision. And the reasoning is there are 3 other midfielders I want. Salah is immovable. Saka, I think we've just said, is staying. I also really, really want Bruno Fernandes, because I think the 1 week fixture against Sheffield United, and then they've got City at home, but then it's 3 really nice fixtures, Fulham, Luton and Everton. Bruno Fernandes away from Old Trafford, so away from the Hounds against Sheffield United, then away from the Hounds against Fulham, then at home to Luton. I really want Bruno for these 3 games.
Okay.
And the other one I want is I want to double up an Arsenal midfield, so I'd be tempted to go Martinelli or Odegaard for the last.
That was disgusting. You say, like, I'm scrolling down thinking, Bruno will be here soon. Bruno will be here soon. Where the fuck is Bruno?
Oh, it's ridiculous, isn't it? He's got less points than Anthony Gordon this year.
That's disgusting.
I think we also want to double up on Arsenal midfielders, and I think Martinelli is 7.7 at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's. Where is it?
He's been injured for most of the season.
Yeah, I know, but I thought we'd at least be on more than 26 points. Jesus Christ.
Well, he hasn't been playing, has he? So I'm prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt. Unless we could go Odegaard instead.
I thought you were going to say Havertz then, and I was going to murder you. I think with the money, I think Martinelli's the better shout. Because that is an extra 0.8 in the bank.
Yeah, and it's only 7.7. I think that could be amazing value for Martinelli. So let's have a look. I actually think let's treble up an Arsenal, and instead of Saliba, we can go Gabriel for way cheaper, and he's basically the same player.
You mean Ben White, don't you?
No, just no. But I think Gabriel at 4.7 is just
7, 4, 14, 9. Like that is a hell of a run of form.
I know.
Gabriel is again 0.9 cheaper.
Yeah, I think we've got to take that into consideration as well. The other 2 players we've got to be looking at in defence. So how much money we've got? Loads of money. Oh, we've got 4 spots to fill. I think we're going to need to move Bowen down and Trent down, to be honest.
Yeah.
Bowen, I'd like to make Mitoma.
Yeah, I like that.
Game week 10 onwards, as Fulham, Everton, Sheffield United, Forest, I'm 100% going to be owning Mitoma for that run. So I think we should in our joint team as well. How much have we got? Because we've got five spots to fill. Cool. Let's get a 3.9 defender. That we're going to be playing 3 defenders most of the time anyway. So let's get a really shitty, cheap defender for 3.9. Taylor for Burnley. He's going to be playing.
Yeah, that was the first one that came to mind for me as well. So bang on.
Then do we want to be getting Johnny Evans at 4 million?
Do we?
I'd say yes. Or Harry Maguire.
Who's more likely to play?
I think Maguire. Because Varane's back, isn't he? Maybe we just avoid it entirely.
Yeah, it's probably.
Let's pick who's the third defender we want to be playing most weeks. Because if we're looking at defenders, I guess looking at the fixtures. Do we want? How much is Canate for Liverpool?
Well, what are we talking about? Are we looking at like a Villa defender, or are we looking at Trippier?
I don't think we're looking at Trippier. We could be going Cash or Pau Torres.
The only thing I've got to remind you of your comment from last week. Trippier got an assist, conceded 2 goals, and got 2 bonus points.
Yeah. Newcastle have a moderate run of fixtures, but I guess that doesn't really matter for Trippier. I'm just thinking funds-wise, because we've got 2 forward spots there.
Yeah, that's the only problem, isn't it?
So I think we go super cheap at the back. We get one more defender who we want to be playing. And I think...
Then at 4.5?
Who at 4.5?
Pau Torres.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most sensible option. Then we get another cheap as chips defender, so another 3.9. So let's go. Who's been playing? Sergio Gomez from Man City.
I mean, there's no one here really that's playing unless we go to like a 4.
Well, let's look at the 4 because that won't make much difference.
I mean, yeah, you've got Evans, you've got Maguire, Anderson at Luton.
Maybe Ashley Young at Everton, perhaps. Everton's fixtures suck. I think Kabore, 4 million, playing for Luton, getting forwards. Not a great player or a great team, but, it'll do. So we've got 12.3 for 2 striking options. I think we can work with that because we could even... What's a nice cheap striking option we want to be looking at? So say if we go for a Darwin or an Alvarez or something like that, who are the cheap striking options we could get for about 5 to 5.5? Any spring to mind, or are we just best off going super cheap?
I think we might be better off going super cheap.
Archer, just because he's got 19 points in the season so far, he's starting as a forward. He'll get the occasional goal.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most. Origi?
He's not playing. I'd love to have Origi. He's also 5 million.
Yeah.
So I think let's go Cameron Archer for Sheffield United on the account that he will get starts and he will get some goals. Then we have 7.8 to play with. So this is where we have fun. So
that's disgusting because I really want Watkins.
How much is Watkins at the moment? He's like 8.1, isn't he?
8.2.
I don't think we can get there,
Unless we just have a third bench fodder. But then we're risking
too much risk.
Yeah.
I guess we could move Martinelli down to a Diaby, but then it'll be 3 Villa, and I'm not too comfortable with that. Could we move Bruno down to Madison? I don't like it. I want Bruno. I think I
don't know. Do we want another Spurs though? Because of this, right? But then again, yeah, United. This is fucking tough.
who do we want from? Who would we realistically want from Spurs? Maddison and Son, only really Maddison. But I do think that Spurs' fixtures, they've got great fixtures for the next two. But after that, it's Chelsea, Wolves, Villa, City, West Ham. That's not a super easy run of games, and Spurs will start bottling it soon. Like in that Liverpool game, and we don't want to talk about the details of it, but in general, they were the worst team on the pitch. So I think they are going to start bottling it soon. I
know what's happening here. All roads lead to Darwin.
I'm not saying they don't. I think our options are a Newcastle forward, so going Isaac or Wilson, probably Isaac, or going Darwin, or going Alvarez. Now, Alvarez seems safer. Darwin, I'm a bit skeptical of, just because the next game, surprise, surprise, is the 12:30 after an international break. Liverpool get it again. So Darwin would have played for Uruguay. He's probably travelling back. He's probably not going to make the starting 11. So, and Alvarez maybe, unless we go cheap. So we go for Edouard, and then we take Pau Torres up to Trippier. Is that possible? I'm not sure it is. Oh, check. Yeah, I think we can.
86.7, isn't it? Or 86.9?
Let's have a look.
Just short. 0.1.
Are we? Oh, damn. Oh.
Killer.
Oh, who else is available instead of Edouard? In that kind of price bracket, if we're looking for
5.4 is the most we could afford.
5.4. If we're looking at the 5.4 and down,
Pedro is the only option, really, the only half decent option.
I don't mind João Pedro as a shout. I think he's been starting, and then we could go Trippier. But then I'm just thinking about this. Would, in that case, we need to be, because we'd ideally be benching Kabore, Taylor, and Archer. We'd be relying on João Pedro starting every week when Brighton have been rotating. So I don't like it.
Well, you are sort of relying on him, but it's not as though we've got people that aren't playing coming off the bench.
Yeah, I do worry about João Pedro's game time, though, with the Europa League, and just doesn't feel certain. I would even say let's move Trippier down to another Newcastle centre-back or back to Pau Torres. And then look perhaps, or Martinelli down to...
Yeah, I think losing one of the Arsenal midfielders is the way we make this work.
Yeah, I agree. So perhaps...
Martinelli down to Bowen.
Yeah, Martinelli down to Bowen. Sod it. Hold on. We got Bowen at 7.1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Martinelli down to Bowen, and then we can go Watkins. Yep, perfect. And then we've got 0.2 in the bank. Do we want to upgrade anyone? Is there anyone we need to upgrade? Haaland to Darwin. Upgrade.
I think that's good. I think that's good as it is now, because that 0.2 just gives us that little bit of wiggle room should we need it for any little price rises.
Yeah,
we've got a decent rounded team there with obviously Kabore, Taylor, and Archer are the bench fodder, but everyone else is pretty much dead cert to play.
Yeah, agreed. And then we can put the captain's armband for the first week on Kabore.
Yes, definitely.
Captaincy is an interesting one this week because there's 3 standout options in my mind. That is, confirmed transfers, play wildcard. So actually, we'll move on to that in a minute. So let's go through the team, and why don't you read it out for us once you've made your necessary changes?
That is right, isn't it? So Turner in goal, I think, is the obvious one this week. Luton at home. A back three of Gabriel, Pau Torres, and the hero that is Van de Ven. A midfield five of Mitoma, Salah, Saka, Bowen, and Bruno, and then Watkins and Haaland up front.
With captaincy being the tricky one. So Salah has Everton at home, but it's the early kickoff.
The curse of the early kickoff.
The other one is Haaland with Brighton at home, who are conceding goals for fun. So that's where my captain's armband is, and that's where I think we need it on the joint team.
Yeah, it's where my captaincy is as well. So I think let's triple up on the pain when he blanks.
Excellent. And the other option a lot of people will be considering is Heung-min Son playing the Monday night game against Fulham. Could get a lot of points there, but I just don't like it and don't trust Son.
No, I agree. He is just... He probably will come good. I feel like if he's going to come good, it's a Monday night under the lights at White Hart Lane.
Yeah.
Gives them that little bit of extra rest coming back from the international break, but I'm not willing to put my eggs in that basket.
I completely agree. So I think Haaland is the obvious captain. However, captaincy, if you're looking at the next few games or the next few game weeks, next week City have Man U away, whereas Salah has Forest at home. I'd probably be looking at captaining Salah or Saka that week. After that, City have got Bournemouth at home. You're not captaining anyone but Erling there. But then City have got Chelsea away, then Liverpool at home, and 2 consecutive fixtures. So
you might even whack Spurs at home into that run. That's like,
yeah,
he'll be up against the beast that is Van de Ven. You're not going to back him there, are you?
No, not at all. And the same time that City have got Man U away, and so Watkins has Luton at home. So my armband may be going to good old Ollie, because if you've got to think if there's a game where he's going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, that is, like we said last week, Villa's home record is absolutely outstanding at the moment. And to be playing a Luton team that have been obviously struggling is an understatement, and even more so away from home. He's going to be one of the top 3 most captain players that week, without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, there's Arsenal against Sheffield United at home. You'd fancy them to do 4 or 5 there. So I think captaincy in game week 10 is going to be a really fun conversation. You'll have Salah against Forest. You'll have the Arsenal midfielders against Sheffield United. You'll have Watkins versus Luton. Haaland versus United is still an option. And then you're always captaining Haaland. But then in game week 12, when City have Chelsea away, if you look at the other fixtures that are going on, Villa have Fulham at home, so Watkins. Brighton have Sheffield United at home, so I'd actually be tempted to look at Matoma there as well. So I can probably only see myself captaining Haaland in 2 of the next 5 weeks.
Looking at that game week 12, and Man United have a Luton at home.
Oh, that's got to be a Bruno captaincy.
It depends how he's going between now and then, because I mean, for all we know, they could lose their next 3. Ten Hag could be sacked. The club is in crisis once again. Not that it's really come out of crisis, especially now that obviously the takeover talks have stalled. Qataris have pulled out, and it looks like Jim Ratcliffe's going to take a minority stake of about 25% in the club.
Ridiculous, isn't it? The Glazers are hilarious how they've just orchestrated the destruction of Manchester United. But, you know, given the club billions and billions of pounds to waste on nonsense, but all Gary Neville will talk about is how they don't invest.
I mean, to be fair, it's just what Liverpool do as well, though, isn't it? Here's all this money we spent. Oh, we don't get to spend any money.
Don't let me bring up net spend. I mean, we tried to with Caicedo, so I can't really complain. We did get Graben back in the end, so be interesting to see how Liverpool line up. But yeah, it's an exciting weekend of football. Lots of captaincy options. We're both going to be on Haaland against Brighton, but other than that, I think there is going to be some variance, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think he will end up being the most popular choice. I think him and Salah. But if anyone will cast their mind back to the last week before the international break, and everyone thought Son was the one to go for in that early kickoff, we both managed to avoid that trap. Like I said, I think in my Curry League, all bar me and one other person, me and one other person were the only people that captained Salah in that league last weekend, which was beautiful because he's bottom, so I didn't have to worry about it. And he hasn't even got Haaland in his team.
Wow.
And that's not like this new thing that's been coming in recently, like post Wildcard. Everyone's like, oh, well, you could not have. He hasn't had Haaland since the start of the season.
Excellent. That seems intelligent and clever.
You won't be surprised to learn that every year he's been in the Curry League, he has paid for Curry.
Excellent. Well, look, I'm hoping I can use next week to rise again because it's still really, really tight between the ranks. I'm actually just inside the top 50k, so really, really strong early start to the season, winning a load of my mini leagues, but hoping I can get far enough ahead of everyone else that I just leave you in the dust in particular.
Yeah, well, I'm sat about 800k, but like we say, it's at that point at the moment where like the difference in points isn't that big between the ranks.
How much have you got? How many points are you on at the moment?
Good question.
So I'm on 519 and I'm in the top 50k.
I am loading mine up because I was on the joint team. Sign in. And just to mention, the joint team is about 1.2 mil. So I'm on 478 at 800k, and the joint team is on 470. So 8 points is the difference in 400,000 places.
Goodness me, it's very, very tight then. So even if you're ranked about 3-4 million, don't give up because it's really, really close. It's still at that stage in the season where it can all change in 1 week. We have had a couple of good weeks in a row, but yeah, it could easily change over the next few weeks or so. So keep the faith, enjoy the football.
Just to sort of circle up and close this all out. I know I'm not making any transfers this week. I'm rolling it. I think you're doing the same.
Yeah, I am.
So yeah, I think that our wildcard teams have sort of taken into account the international break. We've still got a few international games to go, so hopefully we avoid injuries coming back from international duty. That is always a worry, which is why it's sometimes good to use your wildcard during the international break. And obviously, that's what we've got on the joint team, so there could be changes coming to that, depending on what happens over the next 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, absolutely. Any thoughts on your transfers for next week? Any plans? Because I'm planning on ditching the Spurs guys to get the Arsenal guys in.
Yeah, I think I'm sort of leaning towards something similar. I'm still not entirely convinced on Arsenal, despite the fact they're unbeaten this season. I don't know why. I just can't get on bandwagon. And then against so are Spurs, aren't they? So it's a North London thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking probably we'll lose one of Maddison or Son at least.
For me.
But I feel like I will probably keep one. I feel like I'll keep Maddison just because he's cheaper.
It makes me feel a little bit ill having 3 Spurs players, so I need to go down to 1, just my own.
It's a bit disgusting, really, isn't it?
Yeah, like one Liverpool and 3 Spurs with the run Liverpool have coming up. It's making me feel a bit sick. Now, Van der Ven is staying in my team forever, probably, maybe, but the other 2, bugger off.
Yeah, definitely. I think I could see myself getting Bowen in. Or have I got Bowen in already? I can't even remember.
I can see myself getting Bowen as well, actually. That seems like a really fun move, especially with that Sheffield United game coming up. But yeah, Arsenal against Sheffield United, Martinelli and Saka are going to absolutely feast. So, and Odegaard, actually, I think Odegaard could be a really fun pick for game week 10, especially if we're looking at captaincy as well.
Yeah, he's definitely in there with a shout, isn't he?
Very feast or famine, though, Odegaard, isn't he?
That is the issue. Yeah, he has got that little bit more with Rice coming in, getting a little bit more freedom. But the only problem is obviously he's challenging for minutes with the wonder kid Kai Havertz. So
the wonderkins, do you mean?
Yeah.
But I think as soon as Arsenal start playing the rapist in midfield with Rice and with Odegaard, he can push a lot further forward. So could be coming soon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's it. We've got the England game in 10 minutes, so I need to go and place a load of bets on that. I've migrated over to Sky Bet, so I need to look at the lineups and place a billion bets on there. How's our betting fund doing, by the way?
We have got a bet on the England game tonight. So before that comes in or doesn't come in, so with that £10, pretend that's lost. We're on £80 at the moment. Started with 50, we got up, but there's been like 4 or 5 losers in a row.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, we've lost like 4 or 5 in a row, haven't we?
Bet365 need to give us better super boosts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're still up overall on the season so far, so continue. Let's get back to 50 and then rise up again.
Yeah, just keep doing that and then end the season on 60 quid. Like the slowest way ever to make a $5 each.
Worth it for the fun. Right, guys, we will see you next week. Good luck, everyone.
Bye.